he was up there on stage. He goes, I don't know what's happening here. He's like, there's an energy here. There's something going on in me. And later on, I got up on stage. I said, hey, Jim, that's the Holy Spirit, by the way.
Yeah. It's never a question of, is God speaking to us? It's always a question of, are we paying attention? So many of your books are an encouragement for us to pay attention.
Start your day every morning with gratitude. Like, wake up and just say, what am I thankful for? You can't be stressed and thankful at the same time. So doing that on a daily basis will change your mindset, will change your life. If you stay the course, you keep trusting, you keep believing in God, He is going to take you to places and positions you never thought possible. He will carry you, relying Him, trusting Him, and do your part. And your part, stay positive, encourage yourself, and watch how great things happen.
What's up, my friends? Welcome to another episode of the Matthew West Podcast. I'm your host, Matthew West, and as always, I really hope you like it. Thanks for joining me today. Hey, have you read the book, My Story, Your Glory yet? It's out now, and it just won Caleb Fan Award for Book Impact of the Year. So if you haven't read it, you've been missing out. It's available everywhere. You can go to MatthewWest.com as well if you want to pick up a copy. It's a 30-day devotional. You hear me at the end of every podcast episode. I say, remember, it's your story for His glory. In other words, you're here for a greater purpose. And this is a devotional book designed to encourage you to dive into your story and see how God is at work and how you can live your life where He gets all the glory. That's what it's all about. So be sure to check that out. I'm on tour this summer and in the fall, the Don't Stop Praying Fall Tour. Get ready for that. Tickets, I believe, are on sale now. Go to MatthewWest.com. Come see me on the Don't Stop Praying Tour. And let's go ahead and dive into today's show. Recently, I got to be part of an event called Training Camp. And it was my friend Jon Gordon's vision and his dream. He put together this special event where he brought together some incredible coaches and motivators, mostly in the sports world, to speak, and I got to do the music for it, and it was awesome. I'm a huge sports fan anyway, but Jon is an incredible motivational speaker and teacher and author, and he's got multiple best-selling books, and he put together this event, and as a sports fan, I got to be on stage with all of these NFL and college coaches and hearing them share their stories. It was so inspiring. And so Jon and I have become friends. His books have inspired me. He's just an encourager and a motivator, and you're going to get fired up today by today's conversation. So let's go to the Story House with my good friend. His latest book is called 7 Commitments of a Great Team, and you got to check out that book and all of his other books. But you're going to hear his story today, and you're going to get fired up. Let's go to the Story House with Jon Gordon.
He's always on Lombardi Time. Is that what you call it? Which is if you're not early or late. Is that right?
Yes, Lombardi Time means that if you were not 15 minutes early when he was the head coach of the Packers, you were actually late. And so Tom Coughlin did that as well. So guys knew, like, this is Lombardi Time. You got to be there early or else you're late. And you're actually fined if you were not there early. So when we did our training camp event, I said, we're on Lombardi Time because you were kicking us off. And you are Matthew West. I mean, you're my favorite musician on the planet. I believe you're one of the greatest on the planet. And so I wanted people there to be there early so that they weren't just coming into their seats while you're just like this guy up there playing music. No, this is Matthew West. Get in your seat. Listen, so I told everyone we're on Lombardi Time, and pretty much most people were in their seats, I would say, at 9 o'clock. It worked out pretty well.
Yeah, now we've got to add some context to this. And first of all, I started with that because I figured if Jon Gordon, if I'm getting the chance to interview Jon Gordon, I know he's going to be early to this. And sure enough, I was late to my own interview. So you can find me, okay, Coach. And you are.
You were on time. I was just early.
Oh, dude, you are a coach for so many, whether up close and personal, speaking to teams and coaches all around the country and corporations all around the country, or indirectly through the books that you've written that have sold millions and millions of copies, encouraging, motivating, and inspiring people, myself included. Even before you and I got the chance to connect on a personal level, I've been so inspired by your motivation, your teaching, your encouragement. Would you consider yourself a professional encourager? Because that's one of the titles I would add. If I was printing a business card for Jon Gordon, it would be professional encourager, among other things.
I believe that every leader should have a caring trademark. Like, how do you show that you care? And I would say my carrying trademark is encouragement. I do love to encourage people. I speak on stage a lot, as you know, and I encourage people. I believe you're a major encourager with your music. Obviously, we go deeper than that, but if you come to one of my events, my goal is that you're going to leave encouraged. And I never really thought about this before, Matthew. Like, I've made a lot of money speaking over the years. I've made a lot of impact doing this work, a lot of books I've written. And what am I really doing? In many ways, yes, encouraging people, giving them hope, encouraging them with belief,
Yeah.
with a positive mindset that they need to have to get through challenges, adversity, how to overcome, but not like fake hope, right? The real hope that gets us through, the real resilience that helps us overcome our challenges. But at the same time, I also speak a lot on leadership, and leadership, I think, is my core purpose in terms of developing leaders who will be positive leaders, who will make a positive impact in their organization. So it's me encouraging leaders to be better leaders and then equipping them with the skills they need to actually lead their team. So it's twofold, I would say.
And when people leave, and by people I'm saying, like, when I leave having spent time with Jon Gordon, I feel like I could run through a brick wall. Like, I'm encouraged and I'm empowered. Like, I'm given skills that I need to be a better leader and to be a better, and not just a better leader with business or professional endeavors, but family endeavors, personal endeavors, spiritual ambition. But encouragement is such a key component of that. Like, so you're a cheerleader of others. And every time I talk to you, you're like, man, you're doing great, Matthew, keep going. And it's like that encouragement part is such a key. You know, we all need those champions and cheerleaders in our lives. I'm curious, like, where did that like contagious positivity come from for you? Who modeled that for you? And showed you, like, okay, this is the kind of individual I want to be for others?
That's such a great question because my biological father left when I was a year old. So I didn't really get a ton of encouragement from him. I had a single mom until she remarried my dad, who raised me since I was 5. He was a New York City police officer, undercover narcotics. And so he was battling the drug cartels in the streets of New York, and he saw the worst in humanity. But at the same time, I do remember him always believing in me, always calling me up, always believing that I was going to do something great and be great. And I had these grandparents who were my Gordons. They were my mom's parents, and my last name is Gordon. We took our mom's maiden name after college. And so their encouragement in me made a huge difference. I remember my grandparents saying, you're going to do something amazing. You're going to do something impactful. You're going to impact the world. And I always believed it. And I guess when someone speaks life into you like that, even just one person, a grandparent, a parent, a teacher, a friend, they make a huge difference. And then there was Ivan Goldfarb in high school, my English teacher. And he told me I was a writer in his class, obviously doing writing. And he said, you're going to be a writer one day. And he said, you're not going to be wealthy, but you're going to be famous, is what he told me. I don't know why he said that, but he said, you're going to be famous, not wealthy, but you're going to make a difference. And I never thought of myself as a writer. I forgot that for years until I started writing at 31, 32 years old. So as your songs say, right, those songs that you inspire, you encourage with, one person could change your life.
Now, and since you spend so much time behind the scenes championing other people, right? Like, you're not the one running on the field and playing the game with Clemson. You're the one meeting them. You're meeting that football team, that baseball team, that whatever the group is, that corporation. You're getting them and preparing them for battle, running them through the training camp, and then you cheer them on, and then they go on to victory. But do you ever stop? And maybe if you don't, because I know what a high achiever you are, and I think I struggle with the same thing, but do you ever stop just to consider for a second? And if not, maybe this is a moment, how proud your grandparents would be of you and those people who spurred you on early on and spoke that into your life, to see all that you've accomplished. Like, can you even begin to imagine how proud they must be of all that you've accomplished and how many people you've championed in life?
Matthew, it's 11:11 my time, East Coast time here, and you brought me to tears just by saying that, because I don't think I do that often. I don't think I celebrate what I've done or where I am. I think I'm just always moving forward, always continuing to the next thing, I think I do need to probably stop and not revel in it, but enjoy it a little more and appreciate it. At training camp, our event that we did that you came and played and performed so beautifully for, that event was a moment where I did actually, during that event and then afterwards, I was like, oh my God, this was unbelievable.
Yeah.
To have Kevin O'Connell there, the coach of the Vikings, to
Yes.
have Dabo Sweeney, the coach of Clemson, two-time national championship winner, Sean McVay, Super Bowl champion, an incredible coach, and Eddie George, Heisman Trophy winner, incredible coach, Trent Dilfer, Mac Brown, who is a legend
Hall of
in
Fame.
the football world, Buzz Williams and Corey Close, UCLA women's basketball coach, just the people that were there. And then to have you play and perform, that was a moment where I was like, wow, this is where my life came to. Like all those moments of helping all those coaches, all those teams over the years, and those dark moments where they were struggling and I was there for them, coaching them and helping them through their most challenging times. And then for them to share their brokenness, their failures at our event, and talk about them and talk about how they moved through it and worked through it and thrived because of it. And a lot of that was my help with them along the way, to be there walking alongside them. That was a moment where I was like, wow, this was a moment of appreciation. It was a moment of gratitude. One of the best moments of my life, honestly, to be at that event, to experience all that. And I mean this, I'm not saying this because I'm on with you, to watch you play and to be in that moment when you started performing at the beginning at 9 a.m. and you started with that incredible song, What If?
Yeah.
Man, I was brought to tears. I started crying in that moment, not believing this was my life. The guy who was naturally negative, who failed so many times along the way, who never thought his dream was going to happen, and at times didn't know what his dream was, to experience these moments. I saw God's hand on my life, knowing it was him. It was all him. And knowing he carried me through every single moment.
So good.
Gave me the vision, gave me the opportunity, gave me the skills, the ability to do this work, the heart to actually impact, the heart to care, and to know it was all him. Man, it was special. So I always give credit to God because he deserves it all. But yeah, I'm not really proud. I'm just amazed at what God could do with so little when I look at myself.
Well, you said naturally negative. Is that what how you would have characterized yourself? The author of The Energy Bus, who talks about, the negativity vampires, the energy vampires, the people. I mean, so that is how you would have described yourself, or maybe to this day, like if left to your own devices, naturally negative is where you lean, because that gives hope for all of us.
Matthew, I grew up in a Jewish Italian family. A lot of food, a lot of guilt, a lot of wine, a lot of whining. So I am naturally negative. I go towards the negativity. My biological father was also Jewish. So my mom Jewish, my biological father Jewish. I was born with anxiety. I mean, so it's been a struggle, to be honest, and I'm naturally negative. So George in The Energy Bus, people love that book because the guy is
So
negative
good.
and he moves from negative to positive based on me and my own struggles with negativity. So much so that my wife almost left me when I was 31, before the change, before the transformation happened, before my belief in God, before accepting Jesus at 35. I was really negative, and at many times was that energy vampire. And my wife gave me that ultimatum. So that's where I was. That's who I was. And I would say, yes, I was a pessimist and always blaming and complaining and negative. And I always say I was a professional complainer because my ancestors wandered around the desert complaining for 40 years. We were really good at it. We had a lot of practice at it in my family. So I naturally go there.
Yeah.
And so I would say to this day, I'm a pessimistic optimist. My first thought might be negative, but then I have this eternal optimism and hope and faith. I'm like the perfect example that you just need Jesus. Like without him, I would be negative. Without praying, you say, keep praying, right? Without praying, I would not be as positive as I am. And I literally have rewired my brain. I have transformed my mind, my soul, and my brain. And it's because of my relationship with Jesus, but also doing the work every day. And I say work because prayer takes time and energy. And as a former New Ager, Matthew, who used to meditate, when I became a Christian, one thing I realized was that a lot of Christians would go to church on Sunday and maybe even worship on Sunday, but they wouldn't pray during the week. And we don't take enough time as Christians to actually pray and spend time with the creator of the universe.
Right.
And God created us for connection. And when we pray, we actually connect with our creator. We commune with him. Corinthians 6:17 says, he who is joined to the Lord is one spirit with him. Well, your spirit, God is spirit. So when you're praying, you're becoming one spirit through Christ in that moment. And that is actually what transforms us. Every time you pray, you're never the same. You will always be transformed and changed with every single prayer and every time you pray, because the eternal God, as you're connecting with him and becoming one with him, in that oneness, his spirit becomes your spirit and it transforms you. So this has literally been an awakening for me. It's been transformative for me, but I would say my time of walking every day and praying and practice gratitude literally did transform my mind and my soul. And I know everyone out there, no matter what you're struggling with, you spend more time with God and pray with him. He is the answer.
Yeah, the Bible encourages us to pray without ceasing. And for so long, I didn't understand, what does that mean? Like, how is that possible? I still have to live my life. But it's God trying to get our attention to say, like an old hymn we used to sing as kids, and he walks with me and he talks with me. It's that idea of a moment by moment, breath by breath conversation with the author of our story. We're not the one in control, but he is. And it's what does it look like to return to him moment by moment, breath by breath, step by step, and the realization that if left to our own devices, we land in a ditch called negativity, a ditch called addiction, a ditch called a wrecked marriage, whatever it might be. So I love what you shared, that being naturally negative, a lot of times we think of the shortcomings of our personalities, of our wirings, our weaknesses, our tendencies being something that disqualifies us from having an impact in the world. But God sees it the exact opposite. He takes our natural leanings and says, hey, this is why you need me. And then watch how he flips it upside down and takes somebody who would be self-described as naturally negative to be one of the greatest motivators of our time, spurring people on in their lives to become the best versions of themselves. It's just a great example of how God truly does work all things for the good. We've talked a little bit about the training camp event you had, Jon, and I got the honor of being there. I got to tell you, I felt like a fish out of water. We're going to talk about your new book in just a second, 7 Commitments of a Great Team. But this event you had, speaking of a great team, it's called Training Camp, and I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it, because for those who didn't have the pleasure of being in the room, it was this kind of smaller elite group of people that had come from all around to be a part of this inspiring day. And it truly was a training camp from 9 till 5 p.m., nonstop, world-class speakers and motivators right alongside you, people whose teams you've spoken into, and you listed some of them. I got to tell you, as a sports fan, I was geeking out from moment one, like hanging out with all these coaches and getting to hear them speak. And they were all taking notes with each other. Like one coach would get up and speak. I got to tell you, I saw these coaches on their phones while the other coaches were talking. And I thought, that's kind of rude. Then I realized they were taking notes of what the other coaches were sharing. But just take us a little bit into, and I hope training camp is going to become an annual regular thing. And I want you to talk a little bit about what the heart behind training camp was. And it was such an honor to be part of that event. I got so much out of it. I'm still riding high from it. But talk a little bit about your heart for training camp and what your dream is for that whole event.
Yeah, first I want to say that the coaches were taking notes, and it was really cool because Billy Donovan wasn't supposed to be a speaker.
Yeah.
And he reached out at the last moment and said, hey, Jon, I can come share at your training camp if you want me to, last minute, because he was supposed to be in Chicago. I'm like, Billy, come on by. We made room for him. Billy Donovan is about to be inducted into the
College
Hall of Fame. Yeah, the Naismith Hall of Fame, Basketball Hall of Fame, actually.
Unbelievable.
The Basketball Hall of Fame. And so what a great honor to have him there. But this is what he said to me. I want to come, I'll speak, but I really want to learn. I want to hear what the other coaches are saying. This is why they are the best.
Yes.
The best are always striving to get better. Over the years, I've heard from Calipari to Dabo, all of them reach out. Jon, what's next? Eric Spoelstra, Miami Heat. What am I missing? What's new? What are you hearing? Because they're always looking for the edge. Average coaches, or a lot of those coaches out there, like especially in high school, a lot of times they think they know it all. But you find the best of the best are actually the ones taking notes, the ones learning and growing, striving to get better. So that's a main theme in my book, Training Camp, what the best do better than everyone else. I wrote this book years ago. It really created a lot of change in a lot of people's lives. It's about a guy who finds his faith during training camp, but it's really a book about excellence. So the heart of the event was really to model the heart of the book, which is about getting better, excellence, but also about leadership and about faith. So I wanted to bring together leadership, business, sports, and faith all into one event. It doesn't have to be separate. So often we do these events and it has to be separate. At this event, guys were sharing their leadership, their culture, their strategies, but also their heart and their faith. And it was beautiful. And not everybody there was a Christian, and that was okay. But a lot of people that were there who weren't a Christian, man, they were blown away.
Yeah.
They were deeply, deeply impacted by everyone's story. So that was my goal. Like if you're lost, if you're someone who was looking for God, that this would really impact you and touch you. And I know Jim Rome was there, and he's one of the speakers, the famous iconic broadcaster was there. And he was wrecked in a lot of ways because he was up there on stage. He goes, I don't know what's happening here. He's like, there's an energy here. There's something going on in me, and I don't know what it is. And later on, I got up on stage. I said, hey, Jim, that's the Holy Spirit, by the way. It was really a cool moment. Everyone said they loved that moment. It's just what came to me to explain to him, this is what's going on, Jim.
Yeah.
So yes, the goal is to do it yearly. And when we say elite, it's really, it's top business leaders, top coaches and pastors all getting together in one environment talking about leadership. It's not a conference, so it is a little bit expensive, but the goal is it's expensive because we want to have only about 150, 200 people max in the room, and that's what's key. It's very intimate. So the coaches were just hanging out with the business leaders. The business leaders were talking to the coaches and the pastors. They were all getting to know each other, and that was my vision. The vision was that they were going to share with each other to strengthen each other, because the coaches, Matthew told me, literally they told me afterwards, I loved that. I loved hanging out with the other coaches. I loved getting a chance to listen to Matthew West and meet Matthew. They loved meeting you. And they loved that they were hanging out with these business leaders who they actually could have great conversations about leadership with. So I saw guys who love these coaches and couldn't wait to meet these coaches now become friends with these coaches. And these coaches are now going to have a confidant and a business leader who, again, sometimes you can't go to the other coach in the league and tell them your challenges, but you can go to a business leader who is your peer and talking about leadership. So it's about strengthening the knots in the net, building the kingdom with these great leaders, and using sports as a they have a huge platform to be able to do that.
My dad was a preacher for 38 years at the same church, and he said something one time. He's like, people don't realize, like, where does the preacher go to be encouraged? Where does the counselor go to be counseled? Where does the coach go to be coached? And you've provided a place for that. And it was one of the coolest events that I have been a part of in recent memory. And so I just wanted to encourage you and congratulate you on all the great success you've had. And I did hope that you left that event, because every one of those coaches who's achieved, the highest heights got up there and attributed much of their success to the encouragement of Jon Gordon behind the scenes. And so selfishly, I was like, only 150 people were able to be at that event, but I can have Jon on my podcast and he can encourage a whole bunch more people here today.
Guys, my friends at Simply Earth have started a company that makes it easy to create your own candles, soaps, and more, even for beginners like me. With the Simply Earth recipe box, you can make your own DIY natural products. Emphasis on the word natural, meaning good for you. And yes, I hope to show you some of me making some of these products myself soon. Why try it? Each box delivers pure natural ingredients and simple recipe cards right to your door. So start making natural DIY products while listening to the Matthew West podcast, of course, each week. Now, they tell me they have over 6,000 5-star reviews, and each month brings a new theme to explore. Plus, check this out. This company, Simply Earth, donates 13% of their profits to help end human trafficking. How amazing is that? So do your part to help end human trafficking and sign up for Simply Earth. Are you ready to get started? Go to simplyearth.com and use code WEST to get a free car diffuser with your subscription. Don't wait. These guys are awesome. You're going to love it. Join the Simply Earth community today. Help end human trafficking. Go to simplyearth.com to get started.
You continue to not stop. Whether you're, I hear you're a pretty mean pickleball player, but you just, whatever you're doing, whether it's traveling, speaking, encouraging teams and businesses, or on the pickleball court, you don't stop. And as you mentioned, you had that teacher who encouraged you that you were a writer, which has turned out to be true. You've sold millions and millions of books, and you continue to pour out your story in the form of these greater stories that continue to encourage people. And the latest one is called The 7 Commitments of a Great Team. Can we talk about the why of that book and just what your heart behind that book is?
So Matthew, my coach, who the Hall of Fame is named after, the Lacrosse Hall of Fame, Richie Moran, he was the head coach of Cornell Lacrosse. They just won a national championship the other day, which was our first one since 1977. We did not win a national championship when I was there, unfortunately. But Coach Richie Moran changed my life and had a huge impact on me. He believed in me. He recruited me to Cornell and just impacted me in such amazing ways. And so the opening scene of the 7 Commitments starts out with Coach Richie, and Tim is the main character. And Coach Richie says to Tim, remember, Tim, teammates are forever. Teammates are forever. And I couldn't get that out of my head because Coach Richie actually said that to me when I called him a month before he passed away. And he said that to me. And I was like, are teammates really forever? So I was thinking about that moment, that scene, that teaching, that understanding. And I wanted to write a book around it. And then I was thinking about what makes a great team great, and it's commitments. It's not goals. It's commitments. It's commitments to each other. It's the connection we have that leads to the greater commitment. It's the desire to serve and sacrifice, not just the vision and mission, but I am committed to you, and we're going to sacrifice for each other. We're going to fight for each other. We're not going to fight against each other. And we're going to give to the team, give to each other, and we're going to sacrifice. We're going to have to give up to the team. It's like a marriage. You have to give and you have to give up. So I kept on thinking about what are these key commitments, and I came up with 7 of them, and that became the book. And I've now been sharing that in some talks. It's resonating more than any book I've written. The concepts just make so much sense. It's helping teams become stronger, more united. And it's a fable. I wrote it as a fable to teach the lessons. But you actually follow this team. Tim is having a flashback because he's now with his own company, and his company is struggling because he's not leading his team well. They're not a committed team. So he goes back to his old days in college when Coach Richie taught the 6 commitments of a great team during his season, this magical season, and you follow this team. And then you move forward to the future, or I should say the present, where he now discovers the 7th commitment as he's operating and leading his company, and you watch him transform his company. So it was combining, again, my worlds of sports, business, with the love of leadership, and the idea that when you commit to someone, that's eternal. That is what lasts. If we don't commit, that's not going to last. But it's the love and the commitment and the sacrifice, just as Jesus loved and sacrificed for us. That's what lasts.
I tell you, as reading through it too, it's like the principles apply for your marriage team, for your family team. Like it's the reminder of just the commitments of a great team. And sometimes we don't think about that when it comes to our family relationships either, but it really does. These commitments apply all the way to the most personal relationships that we have in our lives, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, when I wrote it, I was hoping that teams would read it of all types, including family teams. So we have a bunch of readers who have reached out and said, I'm reading this now with my family. I'm making everyone read it. And we're going to have a better Thanksgiving because of our commitments.
I love that.
For each other and to each other. I wrote this book, Matthew, in 16 days. And I don't say that because, to brag. I say it because the Holy Spirit literally gave me this story, this idea, these concepts, and it just flowed magically. My son said I should not tell people that because they're going to think it's not good if you write in 60 days. No, I think it was that good.
Yeah.
I'm sure some of your songs have come to you like that, right? Where you write the song like that and it comes to you. This was one of those like Matthew West songs that just came to me straight from God. And I wrote this book and I knew I cried several times as I was writing it. And now the response from the readers is confirming the magic that God provided in me writing this book.
Well, and the beauty of it is, you lived the book for many years, And which is why it
Yeah.
probably took 16. You know what I mean? It's like it's that download of everything you've been walking through and what God's been showing you, and that is a beautiful thing. So people who hear you say that you wrote it in 16 days, I would disagree with your son, because the reality is that you spent your whole life living the story, and then it was just getting it
Great
down
point.
on paper, man. But there is that divine intervention that I'll get to the end of a song sometimes, John, and I'll just be like, I wrote one the other day, and it's called it's about fighting the good fight, and it downloaded fast, and I'm like, where did that come from? And then it's like, well, we're living life, we're experiencing things, and I started to look at the lyrics. I'm like, oh, well, this is inspired by this person I met last week, and so a lot of times, I always feel like this. It's never a question of is God speaking to us. It's always a question of are we paying attention. And I feel like so many of your books are an encouragement for us to pay attention to what matters, pay attention to the commitments that we need to make to each other. And I'm curious, when you watch a team playing a sport, can you tell if that team has applied the commitments to become a great team, and whether they're winning or losing? Like, I'm wondering, when you're watching a game, because you've been in the locker room, you've been there with Clemson, you've been with all these massive teams that have won national championships, and you've been with losing teams that have struggled, and you've encouraged them. And when you watch a game, can you watch body language? Can you watch what goes on in the huddle and kind of get a feel for, man, this team's not pulling for each other, they're not committed to it? I'm just curious what you watch when you see a game.
I can tell. I have worked with so many sports teams and so many corporate teams. I do a lot of corporate business work. And when I work with a leadership group, I can walk into a building of a company and tell what their culture is like immediately.
Wow.
I can meet with the executive leadership team and tell immediately what their struggles are. Evan Spiegel from Snapchat, the founder and owner of Snapchat, he reached out to me and asked me to come work with his leadership team when they were really struggling back in 2017, 18. And just joining his leadership team, working with them in that moment, right away we went towards positive leadership, and I helped them move from pessimism to optimism, from divided to connected, and they turned it around immediately. So you could see what's going on, what the problems are, and what they need. But yes, just by watching a team. I was at practice with Billy Donovan years ago watching one of his teams practice. I'm not going to say which one. It was a pro team, and I was watching them practice. And then I had a meeting with him and the coaches. And I said, I could see things when I watch teams, and I could just tell whether they're connected or not. And one of the assistant coaches was skeptical and cynical. And he said, oh, yeah? What do you see with us? And I said, well, so-and-so is not connected. So-and-so's got some issues. I bet he has a contract issue or something going on with the team. And he's not feeling like a part of the team. And the team actually has some anger and resentment towards him. And Billy goes, I didn't say anything. I nailed it right on. Just by watching that, I was able to tell and could see that. So when I watch a team practice, or even before the game, after the game, I'm looking for certain clues and body language, as you said, and connection points. When I watched Cornell, this team, win a national championship the other day, before the national championship, they were all hugging each other. And they were literally connecting and bonding in that moment. It wasn't after the game, after they won. It was before the game. And I said, wow, this team is truly connected and committed. And here's the thing. The more connected you are, the more committed you will be. You'll never have commitment without connection. So that is the essence of a great team. Now, you have to have talent, of course, but it's the talent plus the connection that really builds the commitment that will determine whether that team, through the struggle, the adversity, or that close game, do they have the grit to persevere? Because you can win a lot of games with talent, but when you get to the championship level, you're going to have more than talent to win it in the end. And it's always going to be that grit, that perseverance, that's something extra, that's something special that the great teams have. And I see it in corporate teams. I see it in school teams, healthcare teams. All teams have that when they're working together and for each other.
Yeah, and back to what your coach told you before he passed away, that a teammate is forever. It's that commitment and connection to realize, like, I feel like so many relationships in life are in the transactional category, where it's like, is what can this person do for me? And you know what I mean? Whether it's an employee, an employer, like you said, like the contract dispute for that player or whatever it might be. So many relationships tend to be transactional. And when that transaction is done or it's lost its benefit to one party or the other. You're not, I think about it for me in my career, John, it's like as a recording artist, I'll go travel to these radio stations and, I'm there with an agenda, but I really want to invest in relationships, but I'm there in the hopes that they like me, like my song, and want to play my music, right? And they know why I'm there, and it's all that kind of thing. But I just hated that feeling. And I started to think to myself, okay, what if I come into this and try to push past the transactional? And the way I put it was, hey, what if when I'm 75 years old, I'm driving back through that town and had I built a relationship enough with that person where we'd go to Cracker Barrel and have a pancake together, whether, even when I didn't need my song on the radio and they didn't even work there anymore. And so I tried to, in my mind, apply it beyond the transactional. And it's so tough to get through that, whatever profession you're in, even in our families. Like sometimes we can operate sadly with our spouses, like, what do you do for me? And that is a twisted way of thinking and doesn't lead to deep connection. So I love that reminder that a teammate is forever. And what if you could seek to go beyond the transactional relationship and really invest in each other? And that leads to a deeper connection. Of the 7 commitments, what would you, if you had to pick a favorite, which I know is probably not fair, but what would you pick as, like, when you look at that book and say, if the rest of the book got destroyed in a fire, but there's one chapter that somebody picked up on a deserted island, okay, which one would you hope it would be?
I would say it's definitely the commit to connect. Because as I said earlier, you have to be connected to be committed. And in that chapter, we go through the 5 H's. This is a great exercise for a team to implement to become more connected. Each person goes around on your team and shares who their hero is. They share a hardship they faced that made them who they are today. Like, what's your hardship that really defined your life in so many ways? What's a highlight that you are proud of? That's the 3rd H. The 4th H is what's hilarious. So you share something funny and humorous. And then a 5th H, what do you hope for? And as each person shares those 5 H's, the walls of pride, of ego come crumbling down. The authenticity, the vulnerability paves the way for meaningful relationships, strong connections, an incredible bond. And you start to experience and see that team become more connected and committed. And I've done this with corporate teams and sports teams. It's incredible, Matthew, what happens when a team does that. So I wrote about this through the story. So you see the characters doing this exercise and sharing their heart, and you share what they're really dealing with behind the scenes. So the curtain is open, and now you see what these teammates are dealing with and why they are the way they are. And then you see the bond that forms, and you see the transformation that happens after the team does this. So I love that chapter. I loved writing it. I loved writing the issues. And the main character, Tim, shares his issue, which was really my issue. So Tim is in a lot of ways based on me. And that was, again, powerful to write and healing to write in many ways. And then as you see them share their issues, what happens is those weaknesses, the individual weaknesses, now become a collective strength, because now they become one. And in that oneness, the team power really takes over instead of the individual weakness. And I just love the part of that connection that leads to greater commitment. But bringing it to life with a real kind of demonstration. And then seeing this, how it plays out in real life, and then to write about it was cool. Like Billy Donovan and his Florida team did this at the University of Florida, and I was inspired in many ways about the things that Billy did with his team that year and how they improved dramatically because of the team they became. But it all started with the wounds and the hurts and some drug use of some of the players, which then led to a collective strength on the team.
That's incredible. And to encourage to have a safe place to share your weaknesses with each other. When you do that does form a strength of bond. And that's not something that comes easy to any of us, let alone a college or professional athlete. Hey, we're going to post a link to the latest book, 7 Commitments of a Great Team, in the liner notes, as well as to your website, so people can find out how to get their hands. I can't encourage enough to those who listen and watch this podcast. You guys have heard me talk about Jon Gordon. You got to check out his books. And if you get a chance to hear him speak, I'm talking to you like you're not here, John, but I'm talking to the listeners for a second. Like, if you want to be fired up and you want to become the best version of yourself, yourself. You've got, your life will be blessed by these books, and I know people are blessed right now by your encouragement. For those who weren't able to attend training camp, my hope was that having you on the show, that they'd get their own little in their ears right now, just that pep talk to go make the most of the one shot that they get. So Jon, can you send us out today, somebody out there who's struggling, somebody out there who's saying, raising their hand going, I'm naturally negative, somebody out there who doesn't feel connected to their team, a husband who needs to plug in with their family, but whatever it might be, send somebody out here today with some encouragement to go make the most of the day that God has given them right here and right now.
It's so funny because I knew you were going to ask that about 2 seconds ago. I had a feeling you were going to ask me to share that. And I was even thinking about, I really want to encourage these folks before I leave. And I want them to know this, like, I'm naturally negative, and I became really good at encouraging others. But even while I was encouraging others, I also realized I wasn't encouraging myself enough. And we have to be our own greatest encouragers. We have to encourage others, but also encourage ourselves. You have to feed yourself in order to feed others. If you don't have it, you can't share it. So every day it's so important to feed yourself with optimism, with positivity, with belief. It is a muscle. Start your day every morning with gratitude. Like, wake up and just say, what am I thankful for? You can't be stressed and thankful at the same time. If you're feeling blessed, right, you won't feel stressed. So doing that on a daily basis will change your mindset, will change your life. And then before you go to bed at night, write down your success of the day. Just write down the one great thing that happened today. Not all the things that went wrong. Just pick the one thing that went right. You will go to bed every night a success. You will wake up in the morning a success. And what happens is you'll now look for successes every day. And what you look for, you find. What you focus on shows up more in your life. If you don't believe me, start looking for blue cars on the road today. You will start to see more blue cars on the road. You look for successes, you will start to experience more success. And then finally, to be your own greatest encourager, I want to encourage you to talk to yourself instead of listen to yourself. Every day, those negative thoughts are going to come in. But I want you to know those negative thoughts are not coming from you. How do I know that? Who would ever choose to have a negative thought? You would never choose a thought that says you don't have it today, the future's hopeless, you should just give up. You would never choose that thought, and yet it comes in. So just because you have a negative thought doesn't mean you have to believe it. And you're not the thoughts you think, you're the thoughts you believe. So you choose to believe the thoughts that you agree with and that you want to take forward in your life. And the Bible is very clear on this, right? As a man thinks, he becomes. We have to speak truth to the lies, as Jesus taught us in the wilderness. So every day, the liar comes in, the negative thoughts try to fill our mind, our heart, our soul with lies that make us get discouraged, make us want to give up. But instead, what you have to do every day is you armor yourself with the truth and you speak words of life and encouragement. I'm here for a reason. There's a future for me. There is great things that are coming my way. With God, all things are possible. And every day I know that if I just stay the course and I persevere, eventually the best will come. The best truly is yet to come. And I know that's wishful thinking, but I know it's true because at 54, I had training camp. I had the new book come out, become a bestseller. The 7 Commandments became a bestseller. Cornell Lacrosse won a national championship, all within the span of 2 weeks. Through all the heartache, all the pain, all the past, all the issues, the times I wasn't a great husband, the times I wasn't a great father, the times I was failing miserably and did want to give up and never thought my dream would happen, I've got to experience this. So I know this. If you stay the course, you keep trusting, you keep believing in God, He is going to take you to places and positions you never thought possible. He will carry you, relying Him, trusting Him, and do your part. And your part, stay positive, encourage yourself, and watch how great things happen.
Let's go, man. Let's go huddle up, man. I feel like I'm ready to go win the Super Bowl, man. That's awesome, Jon.
Let's go.
Hey,
Let's go.
I'm so blessed by your friendship, and I can't thank you enough for joining me today on the pod, and can't wait to make sure that people get these books in their hands. And congratulations on another bestseller and many more to come. God's using you in a mighty way, and He's used you to speak into my life too. So God bless you, Jon Gordon.
Thanks for being a blessing to me. You know, encouragers need to be encouraged, and you are one of my main encouragers, Matthew West. So thank you so much. I hope you come back to training camp next year. I hope the date will work.
Yeah, man.
But we're going to do it again. We're going to run it back with different coaches. We got Tebow, we got PJ Fleck. I'm going after the Harbour brothers.
Wow.
So it's going to be another cool experience.
Oh, man, that's great, Jon. That's awesome.
All right, that's the show for today. Thanks to my guest, Jon Gordon. Go get his books. Go listen to him. If you listen to audiobooks, go read them. If you need some encouragement, if you want to go from naturally negative to always positive, man, you're going to be inspired by his teaching, as I know you were inspired by today's conversation. So thanks to my buddy Jon Gordon. Also, thanks to you for listening to this podcast. I hope it encourages you. I love doing this show from the Story House week after week. And thanks for letting me be part of your life. You guys are the best. Remember, go make the most of the one shot you get, because all you get. Remember, it's your story for his glory. I'll see you next week.